What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live. We do all kinds of DFS content right here on our Twitch channel, YouTube channels, Periscope. So don't miss out. Our flagship show, of course, is the NBA Wise stream, which we do 2 hours prior to lock, taking you up until lock to make sure you are informed with the latest news around the NBA. Obviously, yesterday was a pretty wild day, and we got a lot of news on the show. I thought it was a pretty good show in terms of, that's the whole purpose of the show. That's why we do it. We're building our teams while we're leading you up to lock, but we're doing it because when news breaks, we want to be able to inform you of the news and be able to explain to you how we plan on reacting and how we plan on changing. Now, obviously, there's stuff that's going to happen after lock. And on FanDuel, if you're playing FanDuel, you have that peace of mind that, nobody else can switch either. So on FanDuel, once lock comes, you're good. On DraftKings, however, with the late swap, I know that, if you're not comfortable with some of these things, then you're gonna, I don't know how to say it, you're gonna have to get comfortable because the bottom line is if you're not paying attention to the news and you're not swapping out certain players or swapping in certain players based off value and all that stuff, then there's a lot of players out there that are, and obviously there's still a good portion of people who can't, and there's some edge there. So so I think it's important to keep an eye. For example, last night, Mike Conley got ruled out after lock. So on FanDuel, obviously, there was nothing you can do about that. If you had Mike Conley, that sucked. If you didn't have Mike Conley, then the question is, did you have Jordan Clarkson? Clarkson was 4,300 last night. I think I swapped in about 25%, which I would have wanted to swap more, except I had so much exposure to Kyle Lowry and more importantly, De'Aaron Fox and Eric Bledsoe. I had the most of them. So I had so much of these guys, those 3 point guards, and that's how I wanted it, right? Because they were in the best spots. Why were they in the best spots? For Lowry, it was because Ibaka was out. We knew they were going to be a little thin in a very fast-paced matchup, and a great matchup against Minnesota, who's been terrible against guards. Terrible against everybody defensively. The Aaron Fox thing, to me, he was just underpriced. We talked about that all day. He was my favorite play on the slate. And obviously Eric Bledsoe and Middleton, once we got Giannis out, we knew to fire away at them and at least get a good amount of exposure. So again, it's following the practice. We had some of the news with Giannis, and so we knew to pivot on these guys. And the same kind of circumstance happened with Clarkson. So we're hoping those of you that are newer to the game can understand why we were saying, okay, now we're looking at the Milwaukee guys because Giannis is out. Now we're looking at the Toronto guys even harder with Rondae Hollis-Jefferson and all these guys because there was an injury situation. And hopefully, if you're on DraftKings and you're new, you were able to apply that, or at least you could see how you could apply that in future slates if something like that happens. Understanding why, you should be able to make the decision on your own at that point. But anyway, hit that like button if you can, guys. Appreciate you guys joining me. Kyle, what's up? What's up? He said he had Clarkson and he went off. Yes, he did. He did the dirty last night. I finished, I did 170 teams. I did the 20 entry max, $4 on DraftKings, and I did the mini max 150 teams in there. Had a pretty good night. Won back, what was it? It was 380 at risk. 1,000. Just fell short, man. I needed Clarkson. Clarkson fouled out in that fourth quarter, man. He really got me. He had a good 3-4 minutes of closing time left, and he fouled out of the game. I ended up finishing 9th in the $4. So close, man. So close. I thought we were going to get it. And the worst part, at the time that game was ending, I was in 7th, and I had a legitimate shot to get first, which was $12,000. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And then I'm like, I got Clarkson. Clarkson is crazy low owned. I got him still. I'm the only one at the top with him, in terms of teams in front of me. And unfortunately, he fouled out of the game with a good 4 or 5 minutes left or some shit like that. That sucked. But it is what it is, man. It's still a good day. I saw some screenshots. Shout out to B Super Pack, WiseTake Nation member. He had a nice pretty little screenshot in the Slack chat. Matt Tribezy, one of our cash game guys, put out a great cash lineup for himself. He posted the screenshot on his Twitter, I think. So all in all, man, I think we're moving. The whole important thing is that we're learning. Understanding this is a process kind of thing, right? Like, you can't expect to have things go your way every single night. That's not how it works. You don't want to necessarily pay attention to win and loss records. You're really trying to focus in on return on investment. Are you profitable? Things like that. Tejas, what up? Right? Tejas, what up, bro? In the YouTube chat. You've been working. I've been trying to remember that. Kyle says it's Zach LaVine a lot. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. We're gonna go game by game. Not a lot of games, but pretty good slate, man. Like, most of these games are pretty interesting, and even the Spurs-Oklahoma City game, while it may be the least attractive on paper, DeMar DeRozan missed yesterday, and if he's out, that's going to open up some value and make us look at San Antonio real hard, which in turn may force us to look on the other side of that game in tournaments if you're looking for those bring-back options and things like that. So I think it's a pretty loaded slate for a 5-game slate, and I haven't really gone through. I did the first look last night, so I have an idea. By the way, the first look, that's something that we normally do on Podbean and iTunes. Decided to put it on YouTube for the hell of it, just to kind of see and see if we can try to compete more in the search rankings. It's a little different, I know. It's pretty much me real late at night when I've had, maybe a little too much medicine at that point. And then, just literally my first thoughts of the slate. I pull it up and I just go into it, play some classical music for myself, really, to get myself thinking in that mindset. But let me know what you guys think of the show. If you could check it out, comment on it or whatever. If you would like to see it on YouTube still, we'll do it. It's just a first look to hold people over until we do this show, pretty much. If not, we'll leave it on Podbean and iTunes, and I don't have to do all the work to get it up there. But give me some feedback on it. I know it's a little bit different, but, don't need a third show of the same thing, right? All right, let's go ahead and get into this, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Money, Cash, Dollars. What's up, bro? Chicago Bulls visiting the Washington Wizards. We've got a 230 total. Obviously, when Washington's playing, shit's a crazy. And it's not even it's actually the third highest total. You could thank Chicago for that. That's what they do. Chicago's working with a day off. The Washington Wizards have had a day off also. However, this is the front end of a back-to-back for them. Let's take a look at Chicago. Chandler Hutchison, man, I like this dude. He obviously had a really bad game. I don't want to say really bad. He had a bad day from the field. He shot poorly. Shot 2 for 9 from the field. His usage rate was a little down against Philly, but prior to that game, his usage rate was looking pretty good since he's gotten these bigger minutes. Against New Orleans, it was 26.1. Against Toronto, it was 27.7. Against Philly, it was only 13.5. But, number one, he was shooting poorly, which may have led to him, I don't know. He was playing against Philly. Maybe he's a little, intimidated. But he did play 31 minutes, which is promising. So we got him at about 30. He still projects for 6x on FanDuel, just about 6 on DraftKings. In a fast-paced matchup like this, he could accrue some defensive fantasy points, some steal action. It's a possibility. But either way, he projects well. Obviously, he's in a pace-up spot. The entire team is. So I do actually like Chandler Hutchison. How much we get of him, we'll see as we go on, as we get news, as the other value starts to open up. We'll see. Kobe White could be interesting as well if there's an injury, definitely. But even if without an injury, when he's priced at this point, it's not like Lock City, but he's getting around 26 minutes because they are a little bit banged up. And we know he's going to shoot a lot. The upside is there. This is the kind of matchup he could thrive in if it turns into like a transition type 3-point deal, right? Unfortunately, he's got a very low floor because he's scoring dependent. Luke Cornett played well. This is a good matchup for bigs too. Only thing that worries me is Daniel Gafford is back. Now, he has not playing a lot, but I just wonder what their plan is for him. Are they going to ease him into more? Gafford's not playing a lot at all. He played like 9 minutes and I think 5 minutes the game before that. So Cornett and Felicio are still playing majority of the center. I think Cornett's the one that has the more upside, so he's the one I'd be more likely to go to in this spot. But again, I don't feel very comfortable with that situation with Gafford kind of lingering. Still, it's a very good spot for centers. I don't mind Thad Young either against Rui Hatch. Thad Young getting around 31, 32 minutes. I think we have him at 31 and a half. I don't think it's a full 32. Levine is in a phenomenal spot. On FanDuel at 9K, I could imagine it may be tough to reach. On DraftKings, what is he, 8,200? It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. And he's in a pretty good spot. We have him at, 36 minutes, I think? Yeah, 36 minutes. He played 40 against Philly, so that's important to keep in mind because that was obviously a close game. The problem is he played 30 against New Orleans in a 6-point game. He played 33. Okay, Toronto was a blowout. So where do we project his minutes, man? We've seen him play, 39, 40 for stretches, and then out of nowhere they'll reduce him down to 34. If we simply raise his projection to even, if we put it at 38, he's going to project to be a top play on the slate. And it's not out of the realm of possibility because he has played these bigger minute games. It's just hard to actually, he hasn't done it on a consistent basis. So I think 36 was already somewhat aggressive based off what he's done. I think 36 is fair. Because you project these for you projecting things for close games. It's hard to imagine him not getting at least 35 and a half to 36 minutes. But if you wanted to be aggressive on him, you can certainly raise his minutes up to 36 and a half, 37. I would say the highest you should go is maybe 38. You don't want to project a player like him for 40 because it's not. But the usage has been pretty awesome the last 2 games. But I do like LaVine. It is a good spot for LaVine. No doubt. Let's see how has he done well against the Wizards before? Yeah, he done pretty well. Earlier this year, he played 33 minutes against them, went for 52. Had another game where he played 44 minutes against them in December, only went for 42. So it's going to be a hit or miss type situation. But, hard to envision him really killing you unless he gets hurt or something crazy happens, right? Let's go over to the Washington side. We've got Mo Wags is projecting to be a solid value play, which is interesting. So we know Thomas Bryant's been out, obviously, and so the center minutes have been open for some of these guys, like Mahimi, Bertans, all these guys that pretty much to shuffle around until Bryant gets back. Wagner played 24 minutes against Memphis. I thought that was kind of interesting. He played 18 the game before, 12 the game before that in his first game back. So they are gradually increasing him. The usage rate, 24.4, was 7 for 11, 1 for 3 from 3, 4 for 6 from 3, 9 rebounds. I think he went for 33 against Memphis. Now he's going to play Chicago. It's just not they just suck. Especially, I think Cafard is probably their best defender at the 5. And if they're only going to play him 10, 12, 13 minutes, then why not? So Mo Wags at 4,300 is a guy I got my eye on. I got him conservatively projected as well. So if you really think he's going to get that, 24 minutes again, it was, the first time. I can't commit to giving him that 24. Just can't do it. But let's see what I really got him for. Mo Wags, 22 minutes, so we have him straight up 22, which I think is kind of wouldn't you think that'd be a minimum he would play for a team that's missing their main center, Thomas Bryant, doesn't seem to really want to play Mahimi, right? Am I talking on my ass with that one? How much is Mahimi playing? 18 and 18. I would say it doesn't seem like they want to play him that much, right? It seems like the minute they got Mo Wags back, they were trying to elevate him and play him more. So I think he's in play. Troy Brown also in play, but his minutes have been up and down. Ish has been getting minutes. I just have this feeling that eventually Shabazz is going to take over. I just don't know when. But in the meantime, he's okay. Bertans, I think, is a decent option. He could see some, first of all, with McCrae on, the second unit is a little more open for him to take more shots. He's been more aggressive. The minutes have been there. I'm good with Bertans, man. I might have to give him a little bit of boost just to make him pop a little bit more to make sure I actually get some. But it's a small slate. We'll see how it ends up. It may give me some already. I don't want to be overboard or anything as of yet, but it does look like a pretty solid play. We'll look more into him later. Shabazz has been playing well. We'll see if he gets more minutes. Again, hard to project. Rui Hachimura has been playing well. Looks like he's been playing above his projection. Matchup against Chicago and Thad Young, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to go crazy because I think we could have some stronger value later on. And then Bradley Beal, man, his minutes, so it's only one game. I don't want to overreact. But one thing Bradley Beal against Memphis, that was a close game. He only got 34 minutes. And before that, this is a guy who we normally project for 38 to 39 because that's what he normally plays. 39 against Dallas, 39 against Golden State, 36 against Brooklyn, 35 against Charlotte, and a blowout. So when the game's usually close, he usually gets his minutes. But in that scenario, even in a good matchup, he didn't. So I'm just wondering, is it because guys are getting healthier so they can afford to have him? You got guys like Hold up. You got guys like, who? Shabazz, I guess, right? Shabazz would be the dude. I guess on the second unit, Shabazz. We'll look at Popcorn Machine later and kind of see what happened there because it's a big difference, man. Those extra. What did Beal end up going for against Memphis? He went for 41. That extra 5 minutes we're talking about an extra 3 to 5 minutes That's the difference of him going for 41 or maybe 50, which is a big deal. And his price has come down a little bit, at least. So that's the situation we want to analyze as well. We're not worried about no Levine defense or anything. But on the other side, Chicago is not a fast team. So Chicago is the one getting paced up here. So a situation we'll have to consider throughout the slate. Let's see, though. What up, though? I like that. Morning, everybody. Juwan Hope, what's up? Morning. Tejish, we love the shows, man. Appreciate it. To Nelson, what up, though? Cyber Soldier, Ish is a lock. Okay, you like Ish. I mean, listen, I got no arguments there. He's playing what, 29, 30 so minutes. No Chris Dunn, who's probably Chicago's best defender or one of their best defenders. We know he's been out, which is why we've been playing Hutch, my boy Hutch. Let's keep it rolling. Let's go on to the next game. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. Let's see what we're working with here in terms of Vegas. We've got a 224.5 total, so it went down half a point from 225. The Clippers opened up -1. They're up to -1.5 on the road. This one actually has the second lowest total on the slate, but it is two, marquee type teams. In the 76ers' mind, they may believe that they can compete with the Clippers. But if they were ever going to have a good game with compete with the Clippers for real, it would be in all seriousness. I joke because I think they're disappointing. They have all that talent. They can't win a game on the road. But they have been a very, very good home team. No question. Very, very good home team. With that said, both teams working with a day of rest. The Clippers in the midst of a 3-4, not terrible. The Philly in the midst of a 4-6, not great. But both of them have at least had a day off, and Philly's at home. Holla. Let's take a look and see here. So Montrezl Harrell's minutes have been way down. They're playing Embiid. I think he could have some success against Embiid on the other end of the ball, on the offensive end of the ball. Obviously, on the defensive end, him and Zubac would probably get murked in this situation. But Harrell is really cheap. I was just, you can see where I have his minutes. That's really low for Montrezl Harrell. We normally have him somewhere around 28 or something like that, but looking at his recent games, man, I mean, Cleveland was a blowout. He only got 20 minutes, but that was a blowout. And he still balled, went for 36 DraftKings points. Minnesota was a blowout. That's the problem. They've been in so many blowouts. He got 17 minutes that game, but it was a blowout, right? They blew out Miami. He got 26 minutes. They played the Spurs in a close game, only got 25. They played Minnesota in a closer game, only got 26. So in general, it seems like with all these bodies around, and now they got Marcus Morris here as well, it does seem like it's like just the extra bodies are affecting him, So the price is good. I'm willing to take some shots. This could be a situation where they do want him more, just have more presence down low. At least I know he's not big for a big, but at least he's aggressive. So I think the price is interesting. Lou Will, Sweet Lou, what to do with you? He's coming off a great game. He's another one whose minutes have been down. And when they're fully healthy, even with Pat Bev out, they typically don't start Lou. And then you've got, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Now you got Marcus Morris to take some shots. You try to stagger these guys, and even so, it's just his role just kind of sinks to a more of like when needed role. I still got him at like 28.5 or 29 minutes, whatever I have him at. Because if this is like a really tight game, I could see them kind of leaning on him a little bit more. I think he does get more minutes in this situation. I mean, they've been involved in a lot of blowouts lately, so it's kind of hard to gauge. But with no Pat Bev, I think if there was, in that situation, the problem is like he's there for scoring, not for defense. So he's like, they'll just bring in Shamet for the defense. As far as the other guys, Marcus Morris is cheap. I'm not sure. He played like 22 minutes in that last game. Again, kind of hard to gauge. That was a blowout. Paul George didn't play much either. So now Kawhi's back. It's just tough. It's really tough to see how it fits. Paul George would be my favorite, I think, even with everybody healthy, because he's 8K, and I think that's just too cheap for Paul George. He was on his way against Minnesota. Obviously didn't play much because they just destroyed them. Because they got not against Minnesota. It was the next day. Against Cleveland. He was doing his dirt against Cleveland. That's what it was. And then they just blew him. They beat him up so bad he barely had to play. Kawhi, I'm okay with it. I would imagine his ownership's going to be down. I think most will stop at Paul George, but he's interesting. Zubac, I mean, if you don't think Harrell's going to work out, if you think Zubac's going to get more run or whatever, I don't mind it. I mean, they're going to, they got Embiid, they got Horford, they got some big guys, so they have to be active. But The Harrell is the big question mark. I got him at 26. I know I want to say that's conservative, but what I see in his game log is it that conservative? He did play 28 against Miami in a blowout. I mean, he's getting blowout run. So it's just weird. They don't give Zubac blowout run. They give Harrell blowout run. I don't know what's going on there. On the Philly side, Al Horford, we may have to fight away because his price has gotten down so low, and he's had so many big games with Embiid off the court that his projection is somewhat skewed. So even though he's playing 30 to 31 minutes, I'm reluctant to give him a full 30, 31 minutes because then it's going to project him for close to 6x. And with Embiid on the court, he just don't do shit. I mean, even you saw against Memphis, he had a good game against Memphis. Why? Because Embiid left after 9 minutes or something like that. That's why he had a good game in Memphis. With that said, Tobias Harris, a little revenge spot. I don't know if I don't know if he dislikes him, right? They put him on a pretty decent team last year in the Clippers. He was there with Toby and Bobby, I think was what they called themselves. And now he's on Philly, which is a pretty good team in the East, supposedly. So I'm cool with Tobias. The question with Philly is what happens with the secondary players, right? Furkan Korkmaz has been a freak. What happens to his minutes now that Alec Burks and Brett Brown, I said on the podcast last night, Brett Brown said that he's positive that Alec Burks is going to play today. Maybe only get 10 minutes or whatever, but he's pretty confident Alec Burks is going to play. So Glenn Robinson played a little bit too. But all these guys, between him and then trying to get Tybalt minutes, trying to get Shake Milton minutes, it's tough. And Furkan's over here trying to stand out. I mean, and Josh Richardson is still being eased in. So they're getting real crowded over here. What's that going to do? I don't know. Philly, one of the things that I love about Philly is they play their guys minutes normally. Ben Simmons is fourth in the league in minutes played. He's playing 37 to 40 minutes a game. And so I have him projected at 37, and I think he still will. But does Burks now, does him, Shake, and all these other guys allow Simmons to only play 35 to 36? Because that's going to affect a lot. Joel Embiid's in a nut spot, just a nut spot. He's still too cheap, even at 9-1. On FanDuel at 9-8, it's a little more reasonable. But if Joel Embiid wasn't playing like shit lately, I know he had a good game against Chicago, but if he wasn't playing like shit lately, he'd be, 10-something in this situation? Smash spot. I got nobody that can stop Embiid in this situation. It's just him. Is he going to be a head case, or is he going to just play basketball and do what he's got to do? But the Sixers side of the ball, definitely more appealing when looking at this. Again, Horford's projecting to be the best. I'm not digging it, but I only play Horford when Embiid's out. But Tobias is interesting. I like Joel Embiid quite a bit. Simmons is okay, but he's expensive. And if you want to play for Khan, the GOAT Korkmaz, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to over project him. And I couldn't even, he's been getting 28 to 29 minutes, so I kind of under projected him. I can't help but think that Burks and these guys playing is going to take away at least one or two from those guys before it takes from the main guys. But we could be wrong. I don't know. How did they do it? I don't know. All right, let's go on to the next game. We've got the Portland Trailblazers and the New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans. We've got Portland working with a day off. They're in the midst of a 4-6, and then they have a game tomorrow. So this is already kind of a tough situation in a 4-6. Tomorrow is going to be death squad mode for Portland. But we've seen some teams pull out some shit, man. Denver was in that situation with 7 people and beat Utah in Utah. But maybe it's just Utah. That might be a Utah thing because they also lost to the Rockets in that situation as well. In terms of Vegas, we have a 240 total. This one's the highest. Go figure. I don't think anybody's shocked by that. New Orleans, 2.5-point favorites at home. No respect for Dame Dollar in Portland. Portland, one of those teams that just kind of projected well out the gate, right? Carmelo Anthony still very cheap. Carmelo Anthony did not close in that last game. They closed with Gary Trent Jr. Anthony Simons was out that day, so there were Gary Trent Jr. played even more minutes. Ariza played mega minutes. I'm not saying they wouldn't have anyway, but just keep an eye and see if he's in or out. Because if he's out, then I think Trent is going to get the minutes again. He's a 3-and-D guy, kind of like Korkmaz. You need him. You just gotta hope he continues to be efficient because he doesn't do a whole ton of the peripherals, but. CJ McCollum, I think, is priced well coming off a bad game. Priced well on both sides in a fast-paced matchup. Like I said, we talked about Melo. Might have to fight him off a little bit. But he's playing minutes. He's playing the minutes. Minutes aren't an issue. He didn't close, but he did play 33 minutes still. Damian Lillard, probably one of the top spend-ups, I would say, right? How do you not say that Dame is one of the tops? He just continues to dirty. I mean, even in his last game, wasn't even the best. Still went for over 50 DraftKings points. Hassan Whiteside in a nut spot, smash spot here. Well, kind of. Like, I do respect Favors as far as his defense, being able to protect the rim to a degree, right? Like, 'cause New Orleans was significantly worse when he was out. Favors is not really playing more than 25 minutes or so. We'll see what Ingram's status is, because I think that determines on how much we see these guys. But Whiteside, 8,100 is just too cheap of a price. So anytime he's that cheap, especially in a fast-paced matchup, and I'm not saying New Orleans is a team you could take centers against them. I'm not saying you can't take centers against New Orleans. I'm not saying that. It's a pace-up spot. And I still want to overhype Whiteside because we got some other centers. He was a little disappointing in the last game. He did get to the double-double. We wanted a little bit more, Had a good night, could have been a great night kind of thing. But anyway, he's playing big minutes. We actually have him at 33.5. So if we put him for a real 34, he'd probably go for 6. He'd probably be projected for 6x at this point. But Whiteside the whole team. Ariza projecting well for value. Whiteside projecting well. Melo projecting well. Dame for a stud. I know he's 5.6. But when you look at the raw points aspect, we got him projected from a 60. I think I gave him 40.5 minutes. 40 because that's what he's been playing. And the half more just for this little streak thing he's on, a little something extra. I just wanted to make sure he reflects. I want to make sure that we at least get some. I don't want to be ignoring Dame. He's obviously playing like a man possessed. Straight up possessed. Straight up monster. You know what I'm saying? That's what he is. Straight up monster. What up? Oh, Chuck Dan, what's up? Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. He's helping us out with the likes, man. I appreciate you. Charles, appreciate you hitting the like button, everybody. William, what's good? What's up, man? What's up? Good to see you. Juwan Holt, Zion is going to murder Melo. No doubt, man. No doubt. There's no doubt about that. I'm excited to actually talk about the other side of this because that matchup perspective is just hilarious, isn't it? Absolutely. He's going to destroy Melo. It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, listen, I'm not a Melo hater. I was a Knicks fan for a long time. He tried, but that's going to be fun to watch. But shout out to Chuck, man. He's telling everybody to hit the like button, nation. We appreciate you, man. And yes, if you can handle the like button, it really helps us out. And that's right. It helps CK deliver these free updates, trying to help us reach the top. Let's go. You got it. See, he listens. He's listening. I got it. I'm with you. All right, let's go to New Orleans. We've got Zion. Yeah. So Brandon Ingram is questionable, right? He did not practice. Yesterday? He did not practice yesterday. So unless there's some miracle and he wakes up feeling great, I don't think he's going to play. Now, I didn't want to take him out yet because he's questionable. Now, if he does play, assuming he gets his standard minutes, he projects awesome, right? He projects really well. He's been playing really well in general. If he's out, I already like Zion, but if Brandon Ingram is out, what was interesting, so the last time Zion and Ingram both played, right, because they both missed the next game, Ingram got hurt in that game. And in the beginning, Zion didn't do shit. I think in the first half, he had nothing almost. And once Ingram got hurt, Zion quickly got up to 30-something DraftKings points. He just started balling. So I fully anticipate Zion and Drew Holiday balled out last game. He was in our core core players article that day. It was beautiful. Him and Van Fleet both did lovelies, but that was with Zion out. With Zion in, I think Zion will take a lot of that usage and just beast with it. I think his price is down. If Ingram's, I already like Zion. I'm cool with Zion regardless because the matchup against Melo is just too juicy. But if Ingram is out, I will raise Zion. I'll get even more Zion because I have a feeling his usage will be awesome. If Ingram's out, we're raising everybody, right? Maybe give Ball a little something. Derek Favors, his minutes, maybe give him a tiny boost. He's already projecting well, but give him a tiny boost because he's more likely to play, especially with Whiteside on the court. They're going to want to be big. We'll give Holiday a boost, obviously, in minutes. Josh Hart would get a boost in minutes. Redick can get a boost. He went nuts in that last game. He was just another a Korkmaz type shit. He was just efficient. But you expect to see games like that from JJ Redick. You've seen that shit over the years. When Korkmaz does it, your jaw drops a little bit. But that's only because he hasn't been around. Maybe he's the next JJ Redick. You know what I mean? But yeah, New Orleans definitely. This is looking like an awesome game stack. There's a couple games you could argue, right? Boston and Houston we'll get to a little later, but this is definitely a game stack candidate. If Ingram is out, expect to see Zion projecting even better. Expect to see boosts for all the surrounding players, but especially Zion Williamson. I really think that his usage will go dramatically up if Ingram wasn't there. Makes sense, right? Ingram is a shooter. He's an offensive player, ISO player. He's going to get the ball. He's going to drive to the hole. He doesn't need to involve his teammates if he doesn't want to. More rebounds to go around for Zion, everything. So, I'm looking forward to watching this matchup. Let's go on to the next game. Game Stack City. We'll revisit it. Hopefully we have the Ingram news by then. Again, I don't think he's going to play. I put him in because I don't want to get people's hopes up and have them like, oh yeah, I'm loading up on all these dudes, and then he gets in and you got a game plan. I don't think the game plan would change that much anyway, honestly. It's still a good game stack even if he plays. It's just a difference of like if he's in, I want him also. Worked in. Not saying all by himself, but worked in. You know what I mean? Let's see. Next up, we've got the San Antonio Spurs visiting the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a back end of a back-to-back for the Spurs, 4-6, so a little bit of a tough spot in the schedule. Oklahoma City working with a day off. So DeMar DeRozan's the big question mark, right? DeMar DeRozan was ruled out. He was a late scratch yesterday. It would have been nice to know that, right? That kind of sucked. There's nothing you could do about that, though. Nothing you could do about a player like getting scratched after his official game start. Like what are you gonna do? You're just screwed. No, late swap ain't gonna help you there. What sucks is him being out led to LaMarcus Aldridge, who was extremely low owned, to play 35 minutes with a 39.1% usage rate against Denver. I had said I didn't want to take teams against Denver. And the only thing that could have changed that, and I should probably start prefacing when I say those kind of things, the only thing that could change that is an injury to a major player like DeMar DeRozan. Had we known that DeMar DeRozan was out, the strategy would have been to load up on the Spurs. DeJounte Murray finally got big minutes. I mean, I missed it. It's not even that he played like he's had better games in less minutes. He got 34 minutes, DeJounte Murray. You know, that pisses me off so bad. You know how much I played DeJounte Murray earlier in the season when I thought that they were going to unleash him, and I got screwed over and over again. And DeRozan gets late scratch, and I don't even know. And this, it happens after a point where I couldn't even late swap because they didn't announce it. And so literally the game, he was in the starting lineup. They released the starting lineup. He was in it. But it is what it is. We've got DeRozan in now, so I put DeJounte Murray back to his 26.5, which makes him an okay play. We've got LMA on the verge of projecting well. He's already kind of 6'7" is a little too cheap for him. It's a back-to-back. We just saw him in the scenario, right? Went for 50 on the one night. The next night on the back-to-back, he just was terrible. He was like 6'2" that day, and he did terrible. But if DeMar DeRozan is out again, it's hard to argue because his usage is going to be so high. So his floor, in my opinion, is just higher. His minutes floor is even probably higher. So if DeRozan's out, we'll give LMA a boost, and he'll probably become one of the optimal plays on the slate, even though I don't trust the back-to-back situation. It is what it is. Now, if DeRozan is out, regardless if DeRozan's out or not, if you're desperate for value, Patty Mills is now 3,100 on DraftKings. I don't know. He's been playing bad, I know, but if you really want, really, there's some studs on there that you're like, nah, I want all three of these guys or whatever. Especially if DeRozan's out, someone you can definitely consider. Forbes is cheap. If DeRozan's out, he can get more minutes, but I think the main guy we want for value if DeRozan's out is Lonnie Walker. He played like shit. What did he play? Walker played 27 minutes against Denver in that situation. Went for 19.25 DraftKings points, which was 6.4x on 3K. He's still 3K. So if DeRozan's out, I'll do it again. And he could have been more efficient. He was 2 for 6 from the field, so there was some room there. He could have done even better. Paulie D, a big believer in Lonnie Walker. I get it. So I'm with it. If everybody's healthy, there's really not a ton I want. That's how I'm going to word this from now on. If everybody's healthy, there's not a ton I want. If we get news that DeRozan's out, hopefully we get that news if whether he's in or not by the Y stream so we can reanalyze it. We'll see. By the way, I will be doing a strategy session, another one of our workshops. For those of you subscribed to WiseTake.com, shortly after this show, I'll set it up. I'll make the post. If you have access to the NBA DFS content, even if it's for the day, whatever, as long as you have access to the content today, you will get access to the show. So we'll do that. I'm gonna pull up cruncher and go through some teams and kind of see based off our projections what it's given us and see what we think and just kind of go through things. So the first one was more basic. This one's going to be a little just more like literally going through and seeing what kind of teams it's given us and seeing what the different features are and stuff. So with that said, let's get on to the other side of this game. The Oklahoma City side, there was some guys there was a lot of people that I thought were underpriced. Steven Adams, I know he hasn't played extremely well, but his price is still low. He's getting 30 minutes again. Danilo Gallinari, I thought was too cheap on DraftKings. 5,800. FanDuel 6-1 is not bad either, but 5,800 is real low for him. Chris Paul, I think, is reachable, and I'm with all the good guards and all the good games we have, I don't think OKC is on the top of everybody's priority list. So now the Spurs games haven't been as great, man. They've been a little disappointing in terms of pace and production and all that stuff, but they have a terrible defense. There's no question. So all these guys, matchup wise, are in a pretty good situation. I think that Gallo though is probably my favorite, followed by Chris Paul and then Steven Adams. Steven Adams got the best price. He's just been inconsistent. He's just been a little inconsistent. Damn. All right, last game, nation. Boston and Houston. So this one we got some work to do. I was a little disappointed with what the projection showed me. We got some work to do. I got to adjust some minutes here. Boston's working with a day off. Houston's working with a day off. They're in a 4-6, but still working with a day off. We have a 232 total, which is the second highest on the slate. Up 1.5 points from 230.5. Houston opened up -3. They're down to -1.5. So I think everybody's healthy for Boston. Well, as in like the starting people. We know Kemba came back. Jaylen Brown said he was going to be back. Gordon Hayward's supposed to play. Daniel Theus, I don't know. He's supposed to play. I gotta watch more Boston games just so I can learn how to say this guy's name. But with everybody in, you've got Jason Tatum's kind of priced for guys being out. He's played really well, but he's kind of priced for guys being out. Gordon Hayward, with everybody healthy, doesn't typically play more than 31 to 32 minutes. Plus, he was a little banged up. Kemba seems to be on somewhat of a minutes limit. They played him 30 against OKC, 30 against Atlanta. I was optimistic that they would play him a little more than 30, and they didn't. And that was a close game that came down to the wire. Now, he's had some time. Maybe now they finally raise him a little bit. But if we project him for 31, it's just not good enough. We're going to need Kemba at 33, 34 minutes, which is what he normally gets. We just don't know if he's going to get it. Theus, 25 minutes roughly. We have him for it, not doing anything for us. Cantor's played well, but with Theus back, we don't know how many minutes Cantor's going to get. So it's murky, man. I mean, Jaylen Brown on FanDuel is really cheap. Jaylen Brown, 5.9 on FanDuel, I'm down. Honestly, their prices in general on FanDuel are better. But they're still not popping off the charts exactly. And it has everything to do with the minutes. The pace is going to be there. Houston, now that they're so small, they're making it a point to be the fastest team in the league. They want to just outrun everybody. And the thing is, Boston can go small too and run with them. They can easily put Tatum at the 5 or Hayward at the 5, whatever they want to do. Play smart, move. Tatum and Hayward at the 4 and 5, whatever you want to say. They could slide Jaylen Brown to the 3, play Marcus Smart at the 2, Kemba at the 1. They could do that easily, and that's probably the best lineup for this situation. They don't need a big on the court because Houston don't got no bigs. So it's tough, man. Could we see Tatum play 38 minutes today? Could we see Hayward play more minutes today because they just want to go small? Could we see Smart get 30-plus minutes today? This is a situation where game flow is going to have something to do with it. I think what success are they having? If they start off with the bigs and the bigs are having success, they'll probably leave the bigs. If they're starting with the bigs and the bigs are getting just up into the game is all transition, they'll probably pull the bigs because you don't need them on the court at that point. They can't even get up and down the court fast enough. So a situation, again, that we want to pay attention to. And I'm going to do some digging and see if I can find anything from the coach, anything. Give me some kind of strategy. What do you do if you're boss in a situation? You're a team you get destroyed by bigs also. You don't like playing big either. You can't play big, really. You have a team that's extremely small, dying to go small. I mean, I don't know. But either way, they're in a massive pace boost. We're going to want to figure out who to play here from Boston. On FanDuel, a little easier. On DraftKings, going to be a little tough. We got some work to do, though, to get these things adjusted. Even if it's something as little as finding out Kemba Walker is not on a 30-minute limit anymore. Finding out what their plan is against a big list team. right? But there's going to be something here we want. I don't like the fact that it's late night hammer and there's nothing really popping for us. We're going to have to make some adjustments. I mean, I get it, the prices, but we'll see. On the Houston side, Robert Covington disappointed the shit out of me last game, but I think based off his price, we can go back. What I did like is he did play the big minutes that we were looking for, so I think that's going to be something they do with him. He played 35 minutes against Utah, had a 16.6% usage rate, which really isn't that much worse than what he's done over his career. Sometimes he was up in the 20s for Timberwolves, but for the most part, it was somewhere in the upper teens. He did take 12 shots. He took 10 threes. 10 threes. And the game before that, he took 7. Like, that's a lot of three-pointers to take. If you start actually making those shots in combination with the peripherals he always gets, like a steal here or a block here, rebounds, and all that kind of stuff, I mean, he has the upside. Easily. So I do like Bob Coe. I do like Covington at this price. And I think he'll be in for a really big minutes, man. This is, like I said, this is an interesting matchup. Both teams can go small. Houston is small, but Boston can go small, and this can end up being a pretty good matchup, on both sides of the court. With Eric Gordon out, that's what really makes me, to clear it up, Eric Gordon being out is really what makes me like Covington, because I think him and House and all these guys, their minutes are more solidified. So I think that's why it's the difference of Covington playing 32, 33, or 35, 36. I believe Eric Gordon helps. With that said, Westbrook, really cheap. The Boston side, not as imposing as like a lot of people think, but you can see that for a Houston game, this total isn't as high as you'd expect. So giving some respect to Boston's pace and I guess their defense, but still a high total in general. Harden projecting better for Westbrook. I gave them about the same minutes. Both put them at like 40. Harden projecting a little better on a point per dollar basis. Obviously, Westbrook going to be easier to reach unless there's a ton of value at 9.9. This team's got some good defensive guards, so we'll see where they fall. You got these guys. You got Dame. You have some guys to consider. It's not like an automatic situation. But Covington is projecting to be, and it honestly is my favorite play in this situation. Austin Rivers. Let's take a look at Rivers real quick, just because I'm noticing that he's extremely cheap, and he's projected for some minutes. I mean, I would imagine. With Gordon out, obviously there's some opening. He only got 19 minutes against Utah. Went 4. So we'll probably lower his minutes. He could suck it. That's gonna do it for the Game by Game Nation. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We have a lot to keep track of. We're gonna be rolling, doing that thing. Tice. That's how you say it. So Nelson says it's Tice. Is it Daniel Tice? Or Tice? LMA rest. Cyber Soldier says LMA rest. DDD. DeMar DeRozan plays. Definitely a possibility. If that's the case, we got to load up on DeMar then. Charles Walker, Moore. Which Moore are you talking about, Charles? You can hit me up in Slack though, right? I think you can hit me up in Slack. Nelson says Cantor is either run off or goes for 50. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And yes, they do have guys like Grant Williams. If he's ran off, Grant Williams and Theus take it, and Tice. So it is Tice. So it's not Ties, or no, it is. No, it's Tice. I don't know. You tell me in the chat. I go back and take a look at that shit. I'll look it up on Wikipedia or some shit. Get some of that. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, man. You guys are awesome. Hit that like button. Again, if you do check out the First Look show, just leave a comment or something. Just let me know if you think it's a little extra work for me to get it up, because I record on audio only, because that's really like my zone, right? And I don't want to be. I'm tired of being on camera at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning when I'm all in my thing, So if you guys, if people don't like it, I'll just keep it on the iTunes and Podbean for the people that do. Etwan Moore. Yeah, absolutely. Etwan Moore could end up playing more if we get those guys out. Charles. Yeah, I got you. It's a possibility. He wouldn't be my favorite, but certainly would be inclined to pick up more minutes. Absolutely. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think of the First Look show, because I do the conversion thing and it takes like 20 minutes, so I don't mind doing it if people like it. But if it's not worth it, if people I could do without it, then I'll just keep it on the Podbean and iTunes. Honestly, helps more than anything else. With that said, if you're subscribed to WiseTake.com, I'll see you around the Slack. We're going to be doing a strategy video shortly. When you see the post, it'll have all the details there, whoever's available. Other than that, I will see y'all for the Wise stream at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we'll take this up to lock, do the dirty. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all. And as always, good luck.